Just wanted to welcome everybody here. My name is Mike Katunis. I am with C4C, and just wanted to take a little bit of time and go over how we use Monday.com to run my business. And we have a few clients who have also been using it to run their businesses as well. So let me first start by telling you a little bit about us. First, Scott Lollar. He is a 30-year veteran in the painting industry. He's mostly doing it as a contractor. He's also been brought in with many companies to help scale their companies. He's also the founder of Consulting4Contractors, where he's helped contractors break the $1 million barrier and beyond. As for me, my name is Mike Katunis. I am also a C4C coach. I am also primarily the owner of Homeworks Painting based in Northern Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C. I run a residential repaint company. Been doing it for over 17 years using a hybrid model of employees and subcontractors. Our revenue this year is going to be $2 million. And just to give you an idea of the structure of our management team, there's me as the owner. I have one office manager, actually one part-time administrative assistant, an operations manager, and 2 full-time salespeople. All right, so why are you here? If you can answer yes to any of these questions, then you'll want to listen and stick around. Are you struggling to manage your business? Is it difficult to track everything in one place? Do you have to guess how far your projects are booked out? Are you having trouble with tracking your marketing? Does your staff have trouble with communication? Are you getting tired of doing double entry, triple entry, probably even more of client information? Is your current software just not working the way you want it to work? And probably more importantly, why do we get into business? We want freedom. And so using Monday.com can help you get that freedom back for you.
Mike, if you want, you can go full screen. Maybe Justin said that might be
full screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you guys not able to see everything?
We're seeing everything, but we're seeing your header. It's okay, but if you want to just show the slides only, that'd be okay too. Either one.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
That's okay. That's okay. You just go this way. It's fine.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Let me
go back one
a step. Yep. So what does Monday.com integrate with? Zapier, Google, MailChimp, Microsoft, Slack, Dropbox, Zoom, and lots of others. Just to give you an idea, here's a snapshot of just a few of the programs that Monday.com can integrate with, and we don't use all of them, but you can see there's a lot of possibilities there. So why should you consider Monday.com? Well, one, it's fully customizable. It has a lot of flexibility in the way you want to do things. And a lot of the clients we've worked with have done things differently than the way we do it, but that's the beauty of it. They can set it up how they want it. It helps them do data tracking, especially if you want to see how you're doing with sales, or maybe see how your marketing's doing and what's working and what's not working. As we mentioned earlier, it helps you manage everything in one place, keeping it all together, simplicity. And a big theme of this presentation today is it saves you time in just not having to do all the jumping around from different software to different software, and also, saving you from making multiple phone calls, emails, texts, things like that. A lot of the communication is based right into Monday.com. So how can it help you? I'm going to focus on 6 different points today that how we primarily use Monday.com in our business. Number 1, it's a CRM, so we can stay on top of our leads and track our sales. We use it for project management to help us with our scheduling, as well as communicating with customers. Daily reporting from the field with getting updates on all the projects on a daily basis with crew leaders and our subcontractors. And it also allows us to put pictures in there too. Dashboards, we can really get a visual of how we're doing in our sales and with our marketing. And I'll show you some examples of that a little bit later. It also helps me run meetings, put together an agenda, and assign certain tasks to our staff with timelines on them and progress reports as well. And lastly, with human resources, we keep our staff directory in there. We keep track of all of our time off requests, as well as disciplinary tracking if you are having multiple meetings because maybe there's some issues going on with any employees of yours. So if you were to use Monday.com and incorporate it into your business, who would use it? And essentially, everybody could. And that doesn't necessarily mean everybody would have to have a license, because part of, when you're getting new software, part of what you pay is how many licenses do you need. If you run a painting company with 20 painters, you don't necessarily need to have 20 licenses, but we use it primarily for our management staff. So owners, office personnel, salespeople, project managers, and the people the guys in the field are typically using it. They can help us fill out those daily reports on a daily basis and still not have to have a login account or anything like that. So before we get into the presentation, I just wanted to go over a little bit of how we use Monday and how it ties in with everything else that C4C recommends. We do have a recommended stack that we use. Obviously, central to all of this is Monday.com, primarily using it as a CRM as well as a project management program. But it also ties in with You Can Book Me to help us with appointment scheduling, Google, which we use for our email, calendar, storage of all of our documents, spreadsheets, and documents as well. We do recommend using Paint Scout for estimating and proposals. I know there's other ones out there, but we have found that Paint Scout has been very user-friendly and works well with Zapier, which I'll get to in a second, and helps just tie in everything that we're doing. QuickBooks Online, I think most people here have been using QuickBooks. I know a majority of business owners have been using that. MailChimp for email marketing. And then, like I said earlier, Zapier, which kind of ties it all together. So how do we use Monday? First and foremost, we use it as a CRM. We are able to collect contact information from our customers once we set up the appointment. It has an easy follow-up system where you can follow up with several people with just a few clicks, and you can be done in literally a minute or less and contact several people and send out a quick email that comes from you, from your email address. So it doesn't look like it's automated or anything like that. I'll show you some examples here. This is a screen here. Our first graphic is our contacts board. For any of you who are familiar with using CRMs, there's a million of them out there. Usually there's a kind of a contact page. So we set up our own here. So once we schedule the estimate with the prospective client, all of their information goes onto this board under the first section here called New Leads. And from there, our office manager determines if it's a qualified lead or if it's a bad lead. Obviously, if it's someone who scheduled an appointment, it's a qualified lead. But as probably everyone here has been through before, you get some calls and either they want services that you cannot provide or are out of your service area, or maybe they don't fit the timeline that you have right now. So we would mark those as a bad lead. And so once that information goes in there, it starts at youcanbookme.com. We book the appointment there and everything gets zapped over into here. And from that point on, our office manager will go to this column here with this dark blue color here, mark it as a qualified lead, and it will move that lead down to this second group here called qualified leads. And at the same time, make a copy of all of that information and move it over to what we call our deals board. I'll get to that in just a second. But if it's a bad lead, sometimes with bad leads, you may not get a lot of information from that customer. You may be lucky if you even get their name or where they're located. But whatever information we gather, we do try to collect it. And as you can see, this board looks a little bit emptier compared to what we showed with the qualified leads. But I like to keep track of not only the qualified leads, but also the bad leads. So that way I can see, maybe what's working or what's not working with my marketing, or maybe I'm turning away too many people because our appointment scheduling time is too far booked out. Maybe we're booked out several weeks just to get an appointment. So maybe I need to hire a new salesperson, or maybe we're booked out too far with our project. So maybe I need to hire more crews or get more subs to come in so we can kind of shorten that time. So I like to track that. And with my dashboards, I'm able to see that as well. So as we mentioned earlier, once a lead has been marked as qualified, the lead gets all the information gets copied and then moves over to what we call our deals board here. And this is a condensed version of the board. It's there's a lot more information here, which I will show you in just a minute. But this is kind of just shows you our process, our sales process of estimates scheduled, quotes sent. Now we're in the follow-up stage, wins, losses, jobs that may have been postponed, maybe leads that we originally scheduled but were canceled, or some that we've declined to bid. And so here you see an expansion of a couple of those groups here. So this is a sample of upcoming estimates here, and it just has a lot of their information, name, address, and this is only a partial view of the board. I couldn't fit it all into one screen because you have to scroll a little bit more to the right to kind of see everything. But you can see here, everything here is marked as scheduled, and we have the estimate dates marked in there. Once we send out the estimate using Paint Scout, we will go in here, we will update the quote number, add the amount, and then we will go in here and change this status from scheduled to quote sent. And it will take this customer's information, drop it down here with just one click, and now put it into the quote sent section. And that's where the follow-up process begins. We actually have automation set up where the moment this status changes from scheduled to quote sent, it creates the next day that a follow-up is due. In my company, we do it 3 days later. So for instance, today's Tuesday, October 25th. If I sent a quote out today, I would see on here that the next item due would be on Friday, which would be the 28th, to do the follow-up. And then when we do a follow-up, it's a very simple action of just going right here, clicking follow-up 1, 2, or 3, and I've customized the message that I want it to say. It'll look like it's coming from me, from my email address, and when they respond, it will go into my email box as well, and I can kind of get that conversation started with the customer if they choose to respond via email. But it's very quick. I could go through 10 or more follow-ups in like less than a minute just by doing some clicks here and there. And then when that happens, it will update to a week later for the second follow-up in case we don't hear back from them. So it's nice and easy, and it's quick.
So Mike, I have a question right here is, so can you set different events? Like you could have an email, then your next event's a phone call, then your next event. Can you set it up that way? And can you change the gap in between the events? You just said what you did, but is this customizable to change those dates and determine and events to whatever your company does?
Absolutely. You can change it to whatever you want. And, like I said, my system is after the initial quote is sent, it's 3 days. after the first follow-up, it's 7 days. If you wanted to do it every 2 days, you can do it that way. If you wanted to do it every day, you could make it that way. We can set up that automation for you so that it follows the schedule that you want. We could also set it up so, this is for emails, but what if you like to do phone calls or even text messages or something like that? There are little sections here. These are these comment bubbles here. You will just have to manually go in and update it for each client and just say, made a phone call on October 25th, 2022 at 2 p.m. No one answered or left a voicemail or had a conversation, whatever you want to say in there. So you can definitely customize it any way you want to and track it so that it can be emails or phone calls. And the nice thing too is when an email is sent, I can actually see a copy of that email and what time it was sent. And it's nice for me because I have 2 full-time salespeople as well. And so if I want to see, like, maybe one of my salespeople is having some struggles with their numbers and closing up on some jobs, I can go through and kind of look through their follow-ups and say, let's see how their follow-ups are doing. Are they following the system? Are they taking too long? Or what are they doing here? And I actually had that happen about a year ago with one of my salespeople where he was taking a little bit longer than I wanted him to, and I could look in there and I could see. So we had to talk about it, and we really closed that down a little bit. And he started following the days that I recommended, and I think that was partially responsible for seeing his numbers improve over time, just because he wasn't allowing too much time between the follow-ups. So it's nice as the owner of the company to be able to see what's going on with my salespeople. Going down this screen a little more with this board, I can track my wins and see, and you can see here, like says the owner right there, and that's just the salesperson. So I can see who's assigned to which customer, and I can create filters up here where I can just look at views of salesperson 1, salesperson 2, or my own sales, and just kind of see how that's looking. Along with that, I can see the losses and just see how that's going too. And same thing with just tracking everything, seeing how that's going. So it's nice to kind of keep it all in one place there. So the second way we use Monday.com is for project management. And so, if we go back to that CRM part, let's say we've sent the quote and the person has accepted the quote and signed the contract. One of the nice things we've done is we've set up a Zap so that it automatically marks the job as a win in Monday.com. So the moment that customer clicks accept quote in Paint Scout, it automatically registers the win in Monday.com and moves it into the right place, and then also creates another copy of their information and moves it to our job scheduling board. And from there, that's where my operations manager takes over, and I don't have to do anything. I don't have to call him. I don't have to email him or text him and say, hey, by the way, John Smith just accepted this job. I need you to get it scheduled. He already knows, and he's already been notified and gets that ball rolling without me. So, imagine if you're on vacation and some jobs come through, you don't have to worry about having to pick up the phone and say, oh, you know what? I need to stop what I'm doing right now. I got to call my staff and let them know they need to schedule these jobs. It's already taken care of for you. Another thing we're able to do with the project management side is track change orders. We can communicate easily, and I can see without anybody calling me or emailing or texting me where we are with things. Where do we have this job scheduled? Who's doing the job? How long is it going to take? So again, with multiple estimators and maybe like some of you owners here, I'm a little bit of a control freak. And so I like to know what's going on, especially with the jobs I don't sell, because I want to make sure those go well. And I know I will do it right, but I always want to make sure my staff is doing it right as well. So I can really keep my finger on the pulse of things. We can upload files for the crews, so they're able to access the work orders, as well as pictures or color schedules, anything you want to attach. You can put that into Monday.com and they can view it. One thing I like is there's a map view, and I'll show you an example of that here shortly. So you can kind of see where the jobs are geographically, and you can filter that down to, maybe just want to look at the jobs that are currently in progress, and maybe your operations or project manager wants to, drive around and check all the jobs. Well, he can look at the map real quick and kind of chart a course of, okay, I'll go from job A to job B, C, and so forth. And then lastly, a nice little perk is you can also embed other programs into Monday.com. For example, the Google Sheets. We put our employee crews as well as our sub crews jobs on a spreadsheet for using Google Sheets. But instead of having to toggle back and forth between different tabs on my internet browser, I can do it all within Monday.com. And I will show you that now. So first, here's a condensed view of everything here of all of our stages of the job. So we always start with the top is the jobs that are in progress. When a job is won, as I said, it goes from the deals and it makes a copy of it. So it keeps it in the deals as a win, but then it makes a copy of all their information and puts it in this group here called needs to schedule. And that's where Jimmy, my operations manager, looks every day, and we'll start moving towards scheduling jobs. Jobs start dates confirmed, the week confirmed. Is a job on hold? Do we need a touch up? When a job is completed, it goes down here. And this is where our office personnel take care of the invoicing part of it, and then job costing as well. And then once it's job costed, we archive it and move it to another board of just closed jobs. I'll show you here a more expanded view of what that looks like. So you can see here the jobs in progress. We will add the hours in, and if we have power washing, we like to see how that breaks down. We have a calculation set up in here to let us know how many man days a job will take, who was the salesperson, and then I use these columns here that are color coded to determine if the job is ready to schedule or not. So we have to check through all of these columns here before this can say 100%. Once this bar hits 100%, that's the go ahead to say, now this person is ready to be contacted to schedule. But as you can see, like these three, they're only at 50%. So we're not ready to schedule them yet. And so the questions we ask are, did we get the deposit? Yes or no? Is it a home built before 1978? Does it need power washing? Do we need to rent a portable bathroom? Do we have color information? Do we need to schedule a color consultation with this person? And are they willing to bump up their job? Let's say if we get a cancellation or if it's a rainy day and it's an interior job. So once we get the answers to these questions in the way that we need them, and that bar hits 100%, Jimmy knows he can move forward with scheduling the job.
And Mike, just to be clear right there, that's customizable. You just shared what you guys do, but if I wanted to add an extra question that says whatever, you can add questions or delete questions. That's a fully customizable section, correct?
Absolutely. And that's what we've done for a number of our clients. Some people don't want as many questions. Some people want more questions. So we can definitely cater it to how you want to run your business. This is just an example of how I like to do it. What I've found is some people, I'll present what I do to some people and they'll say, yep, that's exactly what I want to do. We get them set up. And then next thing you know, they realize, you know what, I don't need this, but I'd like that, or I want to add this, or I want to add that. And we can work with you on that. So that's not a problem at all.
Great.
So the next screen here is this same board, but now I've just scrolled over to the right a little bit just to kind of show you a little bit more of what we have in here. It shows who the crew is. We usually start by scheduling the week of. We don't give exact dates when we schedule a job out, but we put the week, and then when we're about a week out from starting, we start giving them a start date. If it's a larger project, we will mark if we need to get a 2/3 deposit midway through the job. Again, some people like this, some people don't. That's totally fine. What kind of project it is, and a lot of other information on this on the board about that's pertinent to that job. And the other thing, if I'm just going to go back real quick, this project stage has automated emails associated with it. So when, as I said earlier, if we get to the 100% mark here and this person's ready to be scheduled and we've entered the start week of that person, Jimmy can go in here, change the status to send the email to this person and confirm that we've got them scheduled for, the first week of December, let's say. And he's just got to click a button and it will fill out the proper information. It'll insert the customer's name in there, and it'll say, hello, John. Thank you for deciding to work with us. We have you scheduled for the week of so-and-so. Please email us back with a confirmation letting us know that week works for you. And if it doesn't, please let us know what does. And then we put in an attachment there of like what to expect when we get started with your job and what we need the customer to do to prepare for us to come. Again, fully customizable. You can put in what you want or take out what you like as well. Let's see. As I mentioned earlier, we can put attachments in here. So you can see in this little column here, this is a comments bubble here. This is where you can attach files. And so this is where we have the work order for this specific customer put in here. And then that way the crews can just pull it up whenever they want. We don't have to worry about, emailing the crews or the crews having to stop by the office to pick up a folder or anything like that. They can just, we usually get that done within a day of getting the acceptance. So they can start looking at that job weeks in advance if they want. Or a lot of times what we do is we have crew leader meetings on Monday mornings, and the crew leaders will look over the upcoming jobs for the week and over the weekend. And so when they come in on Monday morning, they've already previewed the job, looked at the work, and we get that conversation going at the crew leader meeting about what are the questions, what are some concerns, what are we looking at for that job. So it really kind of helps get the ball rolling with that. And here's the map view that I was talking about. These are two separate maps. This is a map of all of the jobs, and you can see they're different colors, and that determines what stage we're in terms of the scheduling. So you can kind of just see where we're at here as far as Northern Virginia goes. But if I wanted to filter it, and as you can see, like here, there's no filter here. Here I created one filter and I just wanted to see jobs in progress only. So now you can see where these green pins are. So here, 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 and here. As you can see, if my project manager wanted to check out all the jobs, that's a pretty good amount of driving that day. So he may go, you know what, I'm not going to do all of that today. Maybe I'll just kind of start here and just do these 3 today, and maybe tomorrow I'll check out these 2, whatever he wants to do. But he can kind of chart a course and see it visually of how he wants to go from one job to the other, if it works out that way. And as I mentioned earlier, we use Google Sheets to schedule our crews. And so I just took a quick snippet here of our employee schedule that we have in Google Sheets. Oops, excuse me. And you can see this was a week in September that I had cut out here. And we color code these. I won't get too much into that, but we're able to see this Google Sheet within Monday.com. So we don't have to jump around in different tabs on our computer. And I can actually edit any of these Google Sheets within Monday as well. So that makes it nice to keep everything centralized in one place. So a third way we use it is getting reports from the field. We get our daily reports from our crews. Again, each crew member or each crew lead or subcontractor, we don't have to set up an account for them that will cost extra money for the annual accounts for them. So they're just we're able to send them a link to a form that we created in Monday to fill out their daily reports. And so we ask questions like, is the job on schedule? Get an idea of what was completed that day. What's tomorrow's plan? and really helps me as well as anybody on our staff to keep to stay in the loop with the job progress. They'll also put in some pictures along with their daily reports, so I can kind of see how things are going. This is good for RRP jobs where you need to have some pictures for your documentation, or if you are collecting any pictures for social media. It's just an easy way to do it without having to, again, text message or anything like that. And so here is a sample. This is just a quick snippet of like the form we created in Monday.com, and with some of the questions we have in there. This is just the small sample of it here. And then once we had the form created, you would just click here to share the form. It'll give you a copy of the URL, and you can email it or text it to anybody who wants to use it, who's going to use it. And the link is good for good. Like, you don't have to do this on a daily basis. The links stay good, and so you don't have to do this. You don't have to send them a new link every day, which could get a little aggravating.
Mike, we have a couple questions right here in this section,
Sure.
so I think it makes sense to jump in. Michelle's asking, I think you sort of answered it, but how accurate are you able to be with your start weeks? Are the starting dates constantly in flux, and how do you account for jobs that finished early or go long? And I think this daily report is one of the ways that you manage that. Is that correct?
Yeah, it does. One of the things with our daily reports, and I'll show you here on our next screen. So when they fill out the daily report, this is what I see every morning, and I actually have a reminder on my phone about 7:30 every morning that says check the daily reports, and so I can look and see, this job, Lainey Robinson, and it's done by Ronnie. And that was the date it was the daily report was sent, and the job is currently on schedule. All right, great. This one under it is completed. We basically will ask, is it on schedule? Is it behind schedule? Has it been completed? And I think I said behind schedule as well. So yeah, so we can kind of see where things are going, or is it ahead of schedule as well? So that way, Jimmy, my operations manager, has an idea of, well, if it's ahead of schedule, how far ahead of schedule are we? Do I need to bump up another job that's scheduled after this and get them and see if we can start a day earlier? Or what if the job's running behind? Do I need to bump that next job back a day or something like that? So again, without having to do all the phone calls, emails, texts, we can see everything that's going on right here and get an update of what was done today, what's tomorrow's plan, do they need anything? If the job was completed, was a walkthrough done, yes or no? And then here's the pictures here. So, to your question about how accurate are we with start weeks, one of the reasons we like to do the start weeks is because we can be a little more accurate with that. We might tell somebody, the week of October 24th, but that doesn't mean we're starting on October 24th. We might start on October 28th. It just really depends. So that way, because especially, the way things have been for the last few years, some companies have been getting booked out, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. And so what we've usually been somewhere in the ballpark of anywhere between 2 weeks out to maybe 6 or 7 weeks out. And so by giving them the start week, it helps us stay pretty accurate without like nailing down exact dates until we get about a week out. And then when we're about a week out, we have an idea of where we are with our jobs. Obviously, we look at the weather and kind of determine if that's going to hinder our schedule or anything like that. And just like anybody, we have to make some adjustments along the way. Sometimes there's a change order that's going to add an extra day or so to the job, or sometimes it was underestimated. And we need more time for the crews, or maybe it's a customer that's just been really difficult to work with. I'm sure all of you have dealt with that, and we've all got stories there. So we just handle that part as best as we can. But by doing the start week, it really helps kind of give the customer an idea of when we're going to start, and then we really nail it down about a week out in advance.
And just real quickly, she also asked, are they filling this out on their phone or an iPad, or where's the form coming from them?
It can be any mobile device. We used to give our guys iPads a number of years ago, and then Uh, I think about last year or the year before, they finally said, we don't really want to deal with the iPads. Can we just use our own phones to fill out the reports? And I was like, sure, no problem. So, if your company uses iPads, they can do it that way. Or if you don't, they can use their own phone as well. Doesn't really take up much data. They just got to have a phone that's, in decent working condition so that they can upload pictures and things like that. So that's a quick run through in terms of daily reports. Then in terms of dashboards, this is something I really like. I'm a numbers geek, so I really like to see how things are going. How are we doing with sales? How many jobs have we won? How many have we lost? What's our average job size? How are my salespeople doing? What marketing is working? What's not? That kind of a thing. So I can create charts and graphs in any way, shape, or form I want. I can make pie charts. I can make bar charts. And I'll show you kind of a sample of both here. So here's our current sales stats here. So it's probably hard to see these numbers here, but it shows the dollars won, dollars lost, total number of jobs won, total number of jobs lost. And that's as a bar chart there. And then you can see it here as a pie chart. And then I like seeing how are we doing on interior jobs compared to exterior jobs. Not a huge difference, about a 1% difference for us. But I told you I have some salespeople. So I can see here, how are my salespeople doing? I can see my numbers. I can see Connor's numbers. I can see Jose's numbers, my total sales, my average job revenue per job, and the same for them. And then I can just see like our overall, like here's what we've produced, here's what we've sold, and then what our total average job size is for the company. Going a little bit further, because I love my dashboards, I have different pie charts to kind of see where am I getting my leads from, and I can see a breakdown of where the percentages are for each lead source, as well as just the actual numbers. So these are basically the same chart, but this one just breaks it down by percentage, whereas this one shows me the actual numbers. But just because one lead source provides me the most leads, it may not necessarily provide me with the most revenue. So I like to see what's working there, because like looking here, repeat business is my third leading lead source, but it's my number one revenue generator. So, these don't always go hand in hand, but it helps me kind of see like maybe just because repeat business is only my third leading source, I need to put a lot of attention to it because it's my leading revenue generator. So that's what I like to know there. And I like to see things geographically. We're based in Fairfax County, so that's where a majority of our leads come. But we also cover 4 other areas in the Northern Virginia area, and you can kind of see how that breaks down here. So it's nice to see that. And then there's a couple more. It helps me with meetings, setting the agendas, assigning tasks to certain staff members, and setting timelines on them as well. So you can kind of see a sample agenda here of our operations meetings. We do those every other Tuesday with my management staff. And I have my agenda here, who is in charge of each specific task on the agenda. What's the status of it? Is it ongoing? Are we still working on it? Are we stuck? Are there some due dates on some of these? And then what's the priority? And then maybe some notes on them as well. And then if we mark it as done, it moves down here. So, in case you need to come back to an agenda item and revisit it, it still keeps a record of it there. And lastly, the human resources component of it. We keep a staff directory. We are able to track time off requests as well as approvals, and then any employee disciplinary actions. So, real quick, you can see our directory here. This is a list of our management staff as well as our employees. We can create a separate board too for our subs. And we just kind of see like, hey, I can see when let me go back. I can see when their birthdays are. I can see what their job title is, their active, um, their hire dates, contact information. One thing I like to do that has been really helpful since we've used Monday is I'm able to better track when we gave raises to our painters, as well as the amounts that we gave, and maybe even put some notes in there about the discussions we had in there. So it's been very helpful to keep that in one place. And then, as I was mentioning earlier, time off request. It's similar to the daily report form. We just create a form for it, send our employees the link, and they can fill it out if they want to request time off, and then we can it'll pop into here, and then we can see what dates they want, why they're going out of town, how much time they need off, and then approve it or not approve it. I don't think we've had any problems with approving so far. So that's kind of a quick rundown of just several different ways we've used Monday.com as part of the main part of our tech stack. So how has Monday.com helped my staff, you might ask? So I've asked my office manager, Danny, to give a testimonial and briefly describe how it's helped her with her daily tasks.
Hey, everybody. Hopefully you can see me and then I'm on there. But so my name is Danielle, and I'm the office manager at Homeworks Painting. And we started using Monday back in 2020. And so at first, switching to a new program, I was a little nervous at first. But after I started using it daily, one thing I realized is that it's really user friendly. It's also easy to see anything that you want to visually. And then it also really just took the guesswork out of the procedures that we have for the company. And then in the past, I used to go to many different places to find answers that I was searching for, whether it be for customers or whether it be for the painters themselves. And now, as you saw a lot throughout the presentation, that it's a one-stop shop. So it's really where I can find any type of answer that I'm looking for. And then lastly, it's really helped, since the pandemic, we haven't been in the office, all of us in the office every day. And so it's really helped us to stay in communication with each project and really know where everyone is and make sure that we're all on the same page. So it's really just helped us and helped me a lot.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Danny. Mike, a couple questions here. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you here. Maybe
No.
Okay. So
that's my next slide.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So Dustin Wilson, hi Dustin, is asking. He's describe the implementation process with painters and their acceptance. So I think the question is adoption and what learning curve. For the field side, and might as well just go ahead and answer. How's it been to onboard and coach people? In the second question would be how's the adoption and onboarding for people in the office?
Yeah. If any of your painters are like mine, a lot of them do not like change. And fortunately, we started implementing daily reports probably about 7 or 8 years ago. So well before I even used Monday. So when we transferred over to Monday about 2.5 years ago, it was just learning just a little bit something new. The going to do daily reports on a daily basis was definitely a little bit of a hurdle. And I realized it was something that I had to constantly remind the guys. Hey guys, I need your daily report. Hey guys, I need your daily report. And some were missed and some things fell through the cracks. But just by consistently staying with it, it finally became a habit that they got used to. There was a little pushback with it at first, but at the point we're at now, it's been pretty good. I would say we got about probably 95% compliance, and there's only maybe one day a week where I'm going to Jimmy and saying, "Hey, I didn't see a daily report from so and so," and so he'll say, "Oh, he had a problem with his phone. He's working on it now." So we pretty much get all the daily reports, and I will tell you, it's been very helpful for me because there's been a couple of times where maybe there's a warranty issue that's come up, and I can look back on that daily report and see like, okay, what happened on there. I had one job about a year or two ago where we needed to have a long dry time between coats for a paint we were using, and I could see that the guys did not do that, and so it started peeling, and so I could pinpoint exactly what the problem was and why that happened. So having that daily report there was really helpful. But like I said, with the crews, because they're not looking at all of the stuff that I've showed you today, they're really just focused on the daily reports or looking at getting their job work orders and things like that. It's really not been an issue. They like having a quick place to go to without having to fill up their email box with work orders or anything like that. So it's been a pretty easy transition. In regards to the staff side of it, there's definitely, I think the adoption was a little bit better than it would have been with, like, say, painters. But there, as Danny mentioned earlier, there's definitely a little bit of hesitation and nervousness with some change. And oh boy, like, I got to learn a new program. And I think about in my house, like if I had to tell my wife to learn some new software, she'd lose her mind. So there are people like that, and I get it. But I think what's important with what Danny said is once she got to working with it and I showed her how easy it was to use and how customizable it was, she started giving me ideas of, well, what about if we did this? What if we did that? And we've made a lot of changes to Monday.com since we initially started using it back in 2020. And a lot of it's been based on suggestions from my staff. So they really adapted to it. And I'll tell you too, one of the things it's been very helpful because I'd say in the last 2 years, I went from no salespeople to 2. Jimmy, my operations manager, started just about a year and a half ago. So, and we've hired a new admin assistant in that time. So we've hired 4 different management personnel, and having Monday.com and showing them how it works and how it can make their job easier has made my life a lot easier in terms of the training process. So it's definitely been a win-win. What other questions do we have?
Let me see. So a couple, Michelle, I think we're going to answer that in a minute. So Ben, who's on for Matthew, is interested to see a little bit of the CRM board. I'm not sure. I think he's looking to see the implementation. I'm not sure exactly. So he's looking for this. He definitely wants to see the CRM.
Like to see it live in action?
I'm not sure. Yeah, what?
I think it's how a lead comes from You Can Book Me, and then how we put it into the contacts board.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Let me see if I can do this here. So can you see my Monday.com board here? Is this okay? So let me start with the contact here. So we'll start here. So we got this new lead that came in, probably it did come in today. So I hope with Danny's blessing, I'm going to mark this person as a qualified lead. So what ends up happening is, what you don't see is the person calls or they email us, we schedule the appointment, we put it into You Can Book Me, and we have a list of questions on You Can Book Me that we get answered, and we fill all of that out on the form. And once we hit submit, within 15 minutes, that Zap triggers, and it takes all of that information and dumps it here. So we're not really typing all of this information here. And actually this person, I don't know if I'm correct or not on this, but they may have actually scheduled themselves on our website, which is the same kind of process, same questions. So from there, we would click on this column here, qualified lead or bad lead. It's a qualified lead. And so we would do that. Now, keep in mind, there sometimes is a little bit of a lag time, not here. So it moved it from there and moved it person down here to the qualified leads. And I've got a long list here, so it's going to take me forever to look for it. But at the same time that moved it down to here, it now moved this person's information over to the deals board. Let's see, menu. And I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it was this person here, Christina Shemk here. So it took all their information, dumped it into here, and so we have an estimate there scheduled 2 days from now. When that estimate happens, we will put in their quote number. Once we send it, put the quote number in there, put the amount, and then we will change that to a quote sent. I won't do that here because I don't want to mess up our system with that. And then it'll move that person down to here into the quote sent section. So these are all the quotes that are currently floating out there in my company that were sent by any one of the three of us. And you can see where we are in the follow-ups. Some of them are on the first follow-up, some are on the second follow-up, and here are the dates where follow-ups, the next follow-up step needs to happen. Does that kind of help? I didn't know if you need me to go any further.
Yeah. Give me a second. I can. Here, Ben, I'm gonna go ahead and unmute you, and you should be able to talk, I think, if you want.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, actually, this helps very much. This is the first that I'm learning about Monday.com. We have 4 different programs, and it's pretty confusing between all of them.
Yeah.
And I want to condense everything into 1 or 2. And I was on another conference call earlier today, and I'm not too happy with that program, but this seems absolutely wonderful.
Sure.
Our leads currently come in from a few different ways, but one of our main ones is Google Leads. Can Google Leads be integrated into Monday.com?
I'm not too familiar with Google Leads, but in knowing how Google works with Zapier and how Monday works with Zapier, I'm pretty darn confident that we can make that work. And we have somebody who is more of a Zapier guru. So if there's Zaps that I can't figure out, I lean on him and he helps us figure those out. But I'd have to investigate that a little bit more. But again, I think especially when we're talking about, especially because Google integrates with Monday, because that's the email program I use. I just can't see that being a problem.
Okay, absolutely terrific. I'm going to have to look into it a little bit more myself, but by the sounds of it, I'm quite impressed with this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Real quick question with Manny here, and then we probably should get through the presentation, then we can stick around. Let me see, Manny, go ahead. All right, Manny, you there? Oh.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, can hear you.
Okay, great. Mike, I actually use Monday.com already. I've been using it probably started in the summer, but I've only been using it for the job scheduling and like to kind of see which crews are on which job and then when the jobs start in progress. I mainly been using Salesforce for my CRM, and a lot of the things you showed, I'm doing on Salesforce. I guess my question is, do you think like I should just totally scrap Salesforce and bring everything over? And because it will be more user-friendly when I do bring people in? I'm just curious because I've only really used Monday.com for scheduling and like tasks for my system.
Yes, get rid of everything and go to Monday. No.
Okay.
Of course, actually, yeah, I've never used Salesforce.
Yeah.
What I do know about it, I do know it's a very powerful CRM, but I also I've heard it's very expensive.
It is. That's why I'm asking. It's not cheap.
Yeah, it's definitely not cheap. The thing about Monday is I've showed you just a snippet of the flexibility that it has. there's so many capabilities. I feel like I'm probably only using like 10 to 20% of its capabilities, but that's all I need, you know? So it's not
Mhm,
like
mhm.
I'm dissatisfied or anything like that. I, I've found a way to make it work for my business. And it has really, really streamlined the communication process in my company and keep, you know, like the previous person said, just keeping everything kind of under one roof and not having to jump around from one program to the next program to the next program, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. It saves me a lot of time.
Okay. Yeah, definitely interesting. Like my assistant told me, she's like, we could probably do everything to this. I hadn't done it because we are paying for Salesforce, but like a
Yeah,
lot of the things you're showing me, we're already doing on Salesforce. But I'm like, obviously, it'd be great to just have everything in one place, like you said, sending out the work orders and all that stuff. Like
right.
do it all in one. So okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
All right, why don't you go ahead and continue on, and then we'll stick around with, we have a few more questions, but I want to just honor the fact that we're coming close to our time here. So why don't you go
Yeah.
ahead and keep moving, Mike, and then we'll come back with the final questions.
I only have a little bit left. So talk about questions. So obviously you guys are going to ask, how much does it cost? And I put a little cheesy meme up there. I'll get rid of that. I just thought I had to throw that in there. Trust me, it's not nearly that much. So before we get into that, how can C4C help you? We would help you by customizing it the way you want to use it, onboarding your company, all of the info you have, every department you have, and using the templates we have, and then making it work for you. We would help you integrate the tech stack and especially the tech stack we recommend, but we do have some ability to kind of work around some other things. But using You Can Book Me, MailChimp, QuickBooks, and Paint Scout, as well as anything related to Google. We also would help with training and coaching. There's going to be a discovery call, kind of a pre-planning. How do you run your business? Where are the pain points? So that we can understand how to customize this program to fit you and your staff. Customizing those Monday.com boards. We also, as part of this, we will give you up to 8 hours of one-to-one support throughout the year. So we have clients who will call me, you know, even months after we've implemented it and say, hey, you know, we're realizing we need to add this on, or we're starting to see this happen. Can we customize it and add a board for this, or change up a group for that? And absolutely, we've made those kinds of changes several times for our clients who've been using it. And then, you know, if you really need some more help with one-to-one, you can always purchase a little bit more time as well. The cost that we charge does include the Monday.com subscription, which gives you 5 seats, which is about $960 value. So that covers the cost of the Monday.com portion of it. So real quickly, I wanted to tell you how it's impacted me and my business. How has Monday.com made a difference for me? And first and foremost, it is time. I've been in business for a long time. I've made a good amount of money. And as I've made the money, one thing I'm realizing is one thing I can't get enough of is time. I have a family. I have kids that are growing up way too fast, and I'm not getting any younger. So Monday.com has definitely made a big impact in the 2.5 years. Just to give you an idea, with my family, I have more dinner time. I have more date nights with my wife. Vacations have been much better. My phone is not ringing nearly as much. I'm big at being involved in the community. Like I told you, I've got 2 school-age children, so I volunteer at the school. If you can kind of see behind me, I've got a bunch of hats behind me. That's for every team I've ever coached in baseball. That's been a passion of mine over the last 7 years, and it's a joy for me. And just to give you an idea, I'm currently in the middle of coaching a baseball team and then helping my son's baseball team as well. So I'm involved with 2 different teams, and it is literally 6 to 7 days a week of baseball, which I'm enjoying every minute of it. And the only way I'm able to do that is because I have enough time using Monday.com. And think about this. I have other interests as well. I'm a part of C4C, but I'm running a $2 million company. And it's like, how in the world do I have time to do that? Monday.com. And just to give you an idea of how my business has grown since I've used it, We were a $1.5 million company in 2020, 1.8 last year. We're going to be 2 million this year. Some of you may be bigger than that. Some of you may be smaller than that. And some of you have maybe even seen bigger jumps than that. But this is the growth that has made me happy and very content, while still making a really good income, and yet still having time to spend time with my family and even pursue working several hours per week with Scott here at C4C. So if you are interested and you want to talk further about it, please reach out to us. My email is there, Scott's email is there, and then of course you can always go on our website at consulting4contractors.com. With that said, what other questions? I know we're a little over, so
yeah. So let me just jump in here. One of the things that happened, I hope that everyone gets value out of this webinar. Our goal is to add value, expose you to some things, and get some inspiration. What we started seeing was, as Mike was sharing with people in our organization and peers of his, they started asking, would he be available? You know, like, how could I get that? And so we developed this program because it took Mike months and months to develop these boards. So we contacted Monday.com. We have been able to integrate a process that allows us to get the boards into your account and help you develop your strategy. So that's how this program was born. We currently have onboarded 10 people in the first quarter or so of this year, and we just had such overwhelming response. We stopped and got through the busy season, and that's why we're re-engaging. So if you want to talk to Mike more about this, have more of a discovery call, a little more time, I put his appointment link in the chat. Couple more questions here. Kaylee's asking, with those follow-ups, we can use Estimate Rocket to send estimates and automate the following follow-ups using email in Monday, and that's it. Yes. So I'll let Mike to speak to this too, but some of these, both estimating programs, Estimate Rocket and Paint Scout, have an automation follow-up, but it's a campaign that's tough to stop. Once you set it, it goes. And so I don't know if you ever had a situation where you had talked to a client and they verbally said, okay, we're good to go. I'll sign the thing tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and they get an automated follow-up, and it's kind of like this confusion or irritation. So that's why Mike has decided Monday.com is the better place to send those follow-ups. Mike, you have anything else to add to that?
No, I think you hit it. Our customers, some of them like email, some of them like text, some of them like phone. So I know myself, and I know if I set up an automated follow-up campaign the way Estimate Rocket or Paint Scout do it, I'm going to forget. And I just don't want to sound like a computer, where maybe I have customers who will call me the day after the estimate has been sent and with questions. And then, I go over that, or I make the revisions. And then if I don't forget to turn off that automated email follow-up, they're going to, like Scott said, get that email saying, hey, I hope you got the email, got my quote. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to look like a dummy. So I'm not very good at remembering that. So I've always liked kind of controlling that myself. And I just have a reminder on my phone that says follow-ups every afternoon. And so I kind of go through my list and then click the column for the appropriate follow-up for that day.
Anybody else? Anything else we can add? Otherwise, we'll be wrapped up and send you some follow-ups afterwards. All right, I think that's good.
Well, I just wanted to thank everybody for joining us today and letting me present this for the last hour. I hope we didn't bore you to death. I hope you found some good nuggets in there. And like Scott said, if you do have any questions, if there's anything we can help with, please feel free to reach out to us.